Hello, it's Roger here with the Q&A video for our January Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind. This is 2019. Happy Year of the Pig. And if you're joining us for the very first time, we're going to be going through all of the questions that everyone has asked. I'm also going to go through some of the successes, and I'm going to do it different this time than normal. I usually kind of do it either from the top to the bottom of the spectrum levels or vice versa, so everyone gets kind of a picture of why different people ask different questions at different levels, and then why the answers are different as well. But what we'll do this time is I'm just going to go through them one by one, and then explain as I'm going what level questions they are and why, so we can kind of see the whole mix as we go through as well. Mix it up a bit at the beginning of 2019. All right, so let me start with some successes. We have Daniel Geordie here, Leadership Bridge. Got the first few proposals out for our new premium service that our team is going to deliver on, as opposed to doing it yourself, which is awesome. Danette, who I'm going to be seeing in Seattle next week, completed promotion plans for myself and on track to complete them for my clients for 2019. Saeed in London achieved one of my main financial asset targets that was in my future vision last year. Completely blew my mind. I achieved it. Came from unexpected quarters. You think it's unexpected. It's not. It's the universe. So congratulations, Saeed. Catherine Ord in Australia. So many highlights and connections to the flow with the Vector system, growing community engagement, and invested in Suraj's marketing mastermind to go to the next level, which is awesome. Also, photo business is in the cash flow, and our reputation and networks are paying back hugely. So this is all about like how do you build the garden and keep it growing, right? So it's like the small steps all the way through the year, which is why we're to the mastermind. We have Michelle here, currently experiencing highest billing quarter of the year. This is December, January, and February, and thrilled to say that we still have 2 months to go. That's South Africa, where we're right in the middle of like the holiday period, so that's like super awesome as well. Thomas Nolte, I have Czechoslovakia. I have created investor profiles from the wealth dynamics point of view. I completed promotion plans for the workshops, mentoring program, introduced a new impact investment product which I can use to attract consultants. Despite the fact I have spent a part of December in Bali and the last 10 years, days, I didn't work because of Christmas holidays. I achieved my financial targets for December. Well done, guys. I mean, like, this is really awesome just hearing all of this as we're going. Thomas, connect up with Simon Zucchi if you can in the UK, and also we have got Trey here in the US who are creating, wealth dynamics for investors, right? Which is pretty much the thing you're doing as well, which is great. Glenn Kenworthy, brochure site is being well received as an intro to our planned launch. So Glenn is creating something called MD Crowdfunders, which is basically doctors crowdfunding for kind of like medical innovations, given that the big disruptor coming is in the medical field. So that's pretty cool. Hit 600 potential investor followers on social channels, committed to a compliance partnership with Fiscal Resolution Compliance Limited, made 1,000 B1G1 giving impacts, which is awesome. Rodney Young, in Australia, we have 2 buildings for our design and manufacturing facility. I've gutted most of the one building, started on the 15th of December, and it is almost ready to move the first machines into. It's really cool stuff, guys. Keep posting down below if you have not posted in the next one what your successes are. I'd love to read them out and have an idea as well. Okay, let's get into the questions. I'm going to do this in reverse order. So if you're wondering when I'm going to answer your question, then you can kind of like get an idea of it. But I would recommend that you actually listen to all the answers, because there's a good chance there's going to be something in here which is most relevant to you, which is someone else's question and my answer. BB, who is in Bali. Hi, Roger. Business model question. I adopted my mentor's business model, which is Andrew Eggleton, which consists of Facebook live challenges and free live talks and one-day workshops from where he sells people into a 6-week group coaching program. I'd love to get into the workshop and retreat level pretty quickly, as I have superpowers there. Vision Ocean Hab, healing by and on the sea, but need to attach to someone else's flow. Ideas, question mark, regarding one-to-one products. Due to the nature of my offering, call it for now healing codependency, I realized I needed a minimum of 3 months one-to-one coaching package to help others see real results, self-confidence, self-fulfillment, authenticity, healthy, etc. I'm thinking about offering 2 hours per month times 3 at $490. Can you comment on your ideas, as I'm having more traction and interest than I can handle on Facebook, but don't know how to monetize it? Okay, so first thing I want to say to BB, but same for anyone in exactly the same situation when you're just developing your model, is you've got to start not with the product. So, BB's clear on what her product is, which is kind of like the how, which is, I'm going to do this one-to-one coaching. I'm going to do it around this whole idea of, I think you said, of codependence, right? So the first thing is actually not what is the product. The first question is, what is the problem you are solving, right? So You could say, well, I'm solving a problem which is for business owners. I'm solving a problem which is for people in relationships. I'm solving a problem specifically for women who are looking for smarter ways to take control of their own power, right? I'm focusing at men, but you have to basically start with a niche. Even though you might go, I want to go to everyone. No, you've got to start with a niche in a very specific area. So because at the moment you do that, that allows you to then find the best people in the marketplace and the best tools in the marketplace that you're going to work with that are going to allow you to be successful. And as much as possible, link it to something which makes it you unique and different in the way that you're going to be designing it as well. So obviously, you're in Bali. That's unique for the rest of the world. Take the concept of the ocean, right? It's like, what does the idea of healing the ocean have to do with codependency, right? Like healing codependency. So you've got to find that niche. Now, you might think you know what it is. It's like, oh, well, it's obvious, right? Because the ocean is basically something that we're all connected to. The idea of being able to take from the ocean, and there's always got more to take because ocean is just giving all the time. The idea of ocean being at the lowest level, which is humility and basically grounding, and that the thing that is most grounded is not earth but water. These are all things that are all part of the metaphor. Bruce Lee, be like water, right? Like the whole aspect of not being caught up in relationships by having things that aren't in flow. And so be like water is like being in flow. All these different things are about you saying, right, I'm going to actually have a way that I am going to be creating a picture. Because at the end of the day, solving a problem is about creating a picture that you can then bring to life through others as well. So as an example, right, you could say, well, I'm going to actually have a small group of people, maybe it's 10 people, the $490 for 3 months, that works, right? But then it's like, what's the outcome I'm going to get if I do this? You've got an attraction, so people go, I want to work with BB. But then it's to say, well, then what's the outcome I'm going to have by working with BB and actually paying her money? And you could say, hey, the outcome is going to be that you're going to get a whole different connection to yourself. You're going to be like water. You're going to be like the ocean, where you're going to find that you have plenty to give, but you're actually at the same time, what connects all things? You're going to be connected to your own spirit with the experience and what we're going to do. You're going to see how the whole world is moving towards this space, and that you can be one of the leaders in the space as well. Take the fact that what happened this last month, we just had this experience of Bali now agreeing to get rid of all single-use plastic. And that's all impacting the ocean. And that's all about how we've created something artificial in our lives that we have to get rid of. All the metaphors and all the design is all there. And for you to say, hey, when you actually work with me, here's what we're going to be doing, right? Yes, you're going to be working with me one-to-one. I'm actually going to also be sharing with you, some great people I'm going to be sharing who are actually out there supporting oceans, supporting relationships, and link between the two, so it becomes really clear to people why they are coming to you to solve their own problem, and why they're also coming to you to solve a bigger problem as well, right? Remember, there's 3 different types of problems. There is solving a personal problem, there's solving a business problem, there's solving a social problem. And as long as you're focusing at least 2 on these, you're always going to win in a way that if you are just focusing at one, like just a personal problem, why would they come to you? They could go to someone else as well, right? So that's basically the most important thing, is that link problem and purpose together. Do it in a way that allows someone to think about this being practical for themselves, and there's something bigger. Do it in a way that actually it's a limited number of people coming on board, and that everyone can see your purpose. And so as a result of that, they're not just going to be sharing with you their time, they're also going to be sharing with you their trust. They're going to be sharing with other people, because it's one thing for them to say, oh, I've got other people that have a problem they need to solve, as opposed to have other people that actually align to your purpose as well. And so because of that, I'm going to recommend you, right? Super important. And map it all out and put it all on one slide deck or on one page, and then post it next time, right? Have a look, and I'll kind of share with you what my thoughts are on that. Okay, I'm going to come to Woontan next. My first product, podcast Full Service Concierge, is out, and I have a client paying me monthly. Awesome, Woontan. I'm still tweaking a second product to make it an irresistible offer, basically developing a lower tiered product for new podcasters to launch their podcast. I feel like there is still a gap in terms of turning my promotion plan into implementation. I'm working on improving my sales conversions and proposals. Is there any advice on steps to make show my customers earn the right to work with me? Great. Okay. Well, first of all, Woontan, congratulations. You've got a very, very specific, step-by-step now for a specific group of people, which are people who actually want to get their message out there by audio, right? So that's super awesome already. The most important thing is for you to look at this from the point of view, just like I was saying with BB, right? Because these are yellow level questions, right? This is all about like knowing already you've identified your identity, which is great. And it's now about master your market. It's the second level at yellow level. And you can go do the second level for both of you, like master your market sheets, and you'll see it's about defining that offering that you're giving to solve that problem. In your case, you could say, well, you know, my problem is people who are on YouTube that have videos and haven't turned them into a podcast, but they would work so well in a podcast, right? And that's exactly what you said to me. It's like, hey, Roger, you don't have a podcast. I go, I just don't have the time to do it. It's like, well, can I take your stuff on YouTube and put it onto a podcast? I go, totally, you can, right? So there's lots of people like that, but it's a very specific type of person where if you can show them that as a result of you working with them, it's going to bring them based on their metrics, because most people on YouTube, they've got a metric of how much they're investing in time and money to actually build their followers, which then builds their customers. You know, if you can then show them, hey, like find out what their metrics are and say, hey, if I can actually improve their metric using, podcasts, would you be interested? Of course they'd be interested, right? Because they're already investing their time and money in it anyway. And then you've got that as a very specific niche. That's a very different niche from people who haven't even got content or just starting on content, where you've got to create that content and then show them how to set up a podcast. My personal feeling is don't go for that market because they don't have as much money. They're just getting started. They're likely to get the value wrong before they get to leverage. Podcast is a leverage mechanism. So start with people who've got the value and leverage that, right? And there's a third group of people who already have started a podcast. So they've actually got going. And these people easy to find. You know, people on YouTube, easy to find. You can go out and find the people that are just setting up their new channels. You can go out and find the people that are actually at, like 1,000 followers that you're trying to get to 10,000. They're out there. And so by you actually then going and getting that group, by targeting that group, you've got that as value. Similar thing happens when it comes to podcasts, going out and finding who are the people that are just starting up podcasts, or even marketing to those people and saying, I can actually improve your podcast because I know how to market it, I know how to improve it. And of course, they're all looking for someone that can actually make that happen as well. So either one of those two is a market where you're actually going to who's already got content and then leveraging that, as opposed to going out to someone where you have to teach them how to do the content as well, and they're not ready for that yet, right? That's my feeling. Now, if on the other hand, you said, but I do have a lot of people who like the idea of a podcast. They're building their social media presence. They might have an Instagram account already. They might be posting things on Facebook, or they've got a group they've started, and they realize having a podcast would be valuable. I don't want to lose that group. Well, then do something for free, right? Do the value part for free. Come onto a webinar, start a podcast on how to create podcasts. That's how Daryl Eve started with YouTube, on basically how do you actually make a good channel on YouTube, and people started watching that channel and then ended up hiring him to actually do the YouTube channel for them. You can do the same thing. It's like a podcast on how to actually run a good podcast, and then interview good people who've got great podcasts, because guess what? Those people will also then market you to their people as well, right? And so now you've got this awesome podcast sharing on the podcast, and then from there, you're going to find the people who go, okay, I get this, and I'm doing a good job on it. Can you now help me to actually improve on my podcast? And be very, very clear, the service to improve content is very, very different from the service to market that content, right? The value, create more value, is different from create more leverage. You can always make more money helping someone who's got value to create more leverage than to help someone create value in the first place. Do that bit for free, right? Just give out the podcast for free. Okay, so next we've got Nina here. Style Gorgeous. Hi, Roger. I'm a reluctant user of social media to grow my business, but is there something I'm missing? I've only ever got the poorest quality of the client from social media, whereas my best referrals come from word of mouth. The process of building trust, relationship, etc. is actually pretty labor and resource intensive online compared with word of mouth. I also want to maintain a premium brand, and the whole social media game seems geared towards low-cost purchases. What do you recommend? Okay, Nina, you are suffering from one of the biggest challenges that most people have when they go out and look at social media and think it's something which is a broadcast mechanism, which it actually doesn't become until you've got 10,000 plus followers, right? And why is that? Because until you've got that, no one trusts you anyway. And like if you see something and you see a group or you see a page and it's only got like 500 followers, 600 followers, unless you know that person, unless you've got a trusted base already, you're not going to trust that person. It's like, well, this person hasn't got started yet. I'll come back in a year. If you go and look at a video, or you go and look at a page and it's got 10,000, 100,000, a million people following it, then it has instant credibility, and then you're going to trust it more. So you have this chicken and egg of like, well, I don't want to just go out and just basically spend all this time trying to build a following if it's not my customer anyway. And so I just want to make a couple of key distinctions. Distinction number one, the difference of a community member and a customer. A community member pays you time. A customer pays you money. So when we set up Genius U, or when I first of all set up with Wealth Dynamics, it wasn't set up in such a way to just go get customers. It was set up to create a community, to have people that were willing to share. Because it isn't about trying to get that, like the person who's got time, you're right, the people who you might want, who are the exclusive people, who might be the ones who actually have more money, they're not going to spend all the time on social media. Take Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Gary Vaynerchuk has got this massive following of people that are paying him time, not money, right? Because they don't have the money, but they've got the time. They're sharing it all and everything. It builds up his celebrity status. He doesn't get the money from them. He gets the money from the big companies that aren't actually there following his videos the whole time. But when they look at his stats, when they look at his community, they go, oh, we want to work with him because he knows what he's doing, right? So understanding that your customers, the ones who's going to pay you money, they're not necessarily going to be the ones that are following you, the ones that are in your community, but there's a good chance they're going to be the ones that your community members talk to, right? Like a lot of our customers come not because they're watching my videos all the time or they're watching my posts all the time, but because someone who spoke to them and said, oh, you're talking about such and such. Have you heard of Roger Hamilton? Well, who's Roger Hamilton? Well, he's got this tool called Wealth Dynamics. He's got this platform called Genius. It's like, I didn't know about that. It's like, let me show you. And then that person goes, wow, this is pretty good. But I'm not like my friend. I don't have the time, but I do have the money. How can I shortcut this? I'll go to his program, right? So always be thinking that your best customer is like 2 or 3 steps removed. And for you to build a community that then builds through trust and word of mouth to those people, that's what actually brings them the business to you. Okay, so what I would suggest is, first of all, because of what you're doing, and you've actually got already, you like the whole thing on transformation, you got the whole thing on the whole style of gorgeous thing, is that you actually choose, am I going corporate, or am I going for a kind of high level in terms of, people in terms of branding and so on, and choose, am I going to go for LinkedIn? I'm going to go for Facebook. If you say, I'm going to go for more for business owners, I'm going to go for LinkedIn. Great. Then start building content up, which is basically content on your success stories, using those stories with them in a way that you can share. You can see me doing that on YouTube. I'm sharing the success stories of the people we're working with, many of who won't necessarily be using social media that much, but then the people on social media who are our community, they then love those stories, they then share them on, and then as a result, the people who then watch those as a result of word of mouth will then go, oh, I want to work with Roger or with the team. And then that evolves and grows it. Plus, the most important thing is the second thing, right? That's first thing, community and customer. Second thing, even more important, is when you're actually getting going, you're not using social media as a way to broadcast. It's not outbound, it's inbound, right? You're not using it as a way to broadcast out, you're using it as a way to receive in. So what I mean by that is, for example, you could say, well, if I was to go out and look for the next 10 or 20 or 30 people that I wanted to work with, I can go and target, I can go and look at who out there is actively building a base, who's out there looking to build their image, build their leadership. And I'm going to go and connect with them and say, hey, I've got some great info or material that I think could really serve you. What's your biggest challenge? How can I be of support to you? Because I love what you do, blah, blah. As Dale Carnegie said 40 years ago, 50 years ago, he says that, the best way to win friends, influence people is not to try and get people interested in you, is to be interested in them, right? And so it's about you going out saying, who out there is the people I want to work with? And then go, just like I was saying for Tan, and then go connect to those people and then bring them on board as well, right? All these 3 are actually exactly the same question, which is level 2 at yellow level, which is master the market, right? Having the market coming your way in a way that's really effective. And then focus at those people, but say, I'll be spending maybe 20% of my time on my community, which is the people paying me time. I'll spend the other 80% of my time actually delivering to my customers, who are the people paying me the money. All right, let's come over to Peter Solway next. We've got Peter here saying, what are the best way to onboard a trader into your team? Okay, so Peter's got walk-through software. Different learning modalities. People who are dynamo are going to be always learning through their visual, right? It's like very much around, give me the big picture, let me just go out there and then basically execute on that, and I will learn as I go, right? Blaze is much more auditory, right? Which is much more just talk to me and tell me how all of this stuff works, right? I don't want to go read lots and lots of detail. Tempo is much more kinesthetic, which is like give me a look and feel on how all this works, right? And then you've got analytical, which is the steel, which is like, just give me the whole sales and operating procedures. I want to know all the details before I get started, right? So understanding everyone needs to be onboarded on a different way. The way to onboard a tempo, like a trader, is to, the actual learning is through the doing, not on their own, but with you together, right? So this is going right back down to, what John C. Maxwell says. It's like the stages of delegation. I do, you watch, you do, I watch, you do, right? It's like take them with you. I mean, it takes longer, right? But they'll do a better job than you're doing at the end of the day. So If you want them to be doing your service calls, if you want them to be doing follow-ups, if you want them to be managing your service team, don't just kind of throw them in it and get them to do it. Give them a plan. Like say, okay, over the next 4 weeks, you're going to just be shadowing, right? Shadow X who's doing this job already, or shadow me who's doing this job already. We're going to just do this together. As we're doing this together, every day we're going to have a little debrief at the end of the day. What happened today? What did you see that I was doing? And document all of this as if you need to teach someone else best practice of what I'm doing, right? And tell me what you think I can improve on as well, right? So we'll talk about that every single day, right? And if you do that, just like 10 minutes every day, just check in, see that you'll see them learning, you'll see them come up with better ideas of how to do it better, right? You see them basically like get more and more confident that they could do the job of themselves as well. And it'll get to a point during that process where it's like, all right, do you get enough that you want to give it a go now? And then I will then basically, watch you and you can follow through. And then you reverse the cycle. And now they're the one doing it and you're the one that's watching until they can actually do the job better than you can do it, right? When that happens, then leave them to it and then they'll actually continue to improve. And then it's all about the rhythm of review and renew, right? It's like every single week, are you doing a check-in to see where they're at? What are the metrics that they're actually following in order for them to know they're doing a good job, right? And the more clarity you give them those areas, the more they're going to get the job done for you. And the opposite, if they end up being the wrong person, you know it very quickly. But it's about the fact that they're not going to be the right person, not because you didn't brief them properly. They just were the wrong person, right? And you can figure that out as well. Okay, so we've got Danette here. Big question. Hi, Roger. I'd like some clarity and distinction regarding strategies for growing a tribe, audience pipeline, and which methods, tools are effective and for what stage. Given the concept of going to the flow that already exists to grow your business, versus digging a hole in the river and a desert. Number 2, given the concept of growing your own audience from follower, community, prospects, rookies, which we talked about earlier, to loyal fans, and given something I heard in a call about focusing 80% of efforts on community and prospects. Okay, you sort of heard me say the opposite a moment ago to Nina, right? It's like 20%, 80% when you're getting started, because you actually need the revenues first of all, so you don't spend 80% on your community, right? If you're much bigger and you then have a whole team that's doing all the rest of it, well, then you can spend more if you're on the front end, but it's the other way around. Can you paint a picture of a clear model system to grow my audience, and what methods and tools are most appropriate for A, attracting, B, engaging, retaining them, and C, tracking? What place do things like blogging, social media posting, YouTube videos, webinars, paid ads, etc., have in this process? Do they have a specific objective and gain specific results? I want to grow, track, and add value to my audience, and I want to use my time on things that get results and do not waste time. So Danette, it's not a one-size-fits-all formula for everyone, right? Like in Danette's case, she's actually got, she's using tools like Talent Dynamics and so on, as one of our consultants to go out there, add to her own products, and then to get, clients, which are corporates, right, to actually then work with her on a leader level or at a team level as well. So let's just take that as a model, right? And let's take a couple of examples, right? You could take someone like Paul Avens, who runs Team Dynamics in the UK. You can take someone like Radka, who's in Czech Republic, who basically runs a Tyro on exactly the same process. And you say, well, what is it that they're doing that's enabling them to always have business that's coming their way? And the first thing is to build a promotion plan that works backwards, right? So you actually start with a promotion plan where you're starting with the money you're going to make. So you say, okay, so what's your number? So I think Danette said, I want to make $30,000 in the next 3 months. Okay, and then the second thing is then turn it from what is measurable to what is meaningful, which is turning numbers into names. Well, if you're going to have $30,000, what is it that you have a confidence level of being able to actually sell, and that someone's going to want to buy, that solves a particular problem? So for example, for myself, I might say, well, I'm confident that I can get 3 people to pay me $10,000 each by basically having me guide them through their business and grow their business. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just getting those 3 people and tell them I'm just working with 3 people. So you're taking basically the numbers, you're turning it into names, you're turning it into limit, you're saying you're not going to work with more than that, and that's giving me a number. Then it could say, I don't feel confident I can give $10,000 of value. I can give $1,000 of value. And it's like, okay, then you need 30 people who you're going to be paying $1,000 each in order to be able to actually work with you. In my experience, when you're just getting started or just getting some new clients on board, you're way better off having a number which is under 10, so it doesn't overwhelm you, because 30 is a lot of people paying 1,000 each, right? 10 people paying 1,000 is a lot more manageable, right? And so you can adjust and say, well, what's my confidence level? Because remember, trust is about credibility, which is why people want to pay you money. Confidence, which is why you want to go out there and actually get the deal. And if you don't have confidence, you're not even going to get started and not even follow the things I'm saying right now, right? But if you go, no, I've got it, right? I'm going to do it, $30,000. I think it's 5,000. That's the number, right? Then you've got 6 people that are going to pay you $5,000 each. So now that you know that, then the real question is, how do you make sure you're delivering more value than $5,000 to someone? Well, if you're in business, it's actually quite easy to do that because people are always investing money in to get money out. People are thinking, if I can do my marketing and I can put $1 in, I can get $5 out. Why would I not do that? In fact, if I could do marketing where I can put $1 in and I can actually get $2 out within 3 months, why wouldn't I do that? Right? If someone can pay you $5,000 and know they can earn $10,000 out of it, well, then why wouldn't they do it, right? So then it's like, okay, so now I'm going to actually have a way that I can actually show people that I can get them to a result where they're going to actually at least double or triple the money on investment they made with me, which means you then have to guide your product in a way that's going to give a return on investment. If you just say, I'm just going to go and use my talent dynamics tools to just make your people happier, well, someone goes, that's a nice to have, but I don't actually need it. If you say, I'm going to use these tools to work with your sales team to actually show you that we can generate extra revenues, I'm going to use these tools to work with your management team to show that if you put a strategy in place and deliver on that strategy, then you'll make another $10,000, $20,000 of sales, right? The moment you focus at that, people go, well, then I'm in, right? I want to do this, especially if you sit down with them and say, right, so I'm going to actually go through a session within an hour and show you how much we can actually help you to grow your business revenue-wise or profit-wise, and then I'll tell you how we can do it together. People will give you an hour if they think that you can actually put $10,000 or $20,000 in their pocket, right? And so now you basically got a pathway to get in front of people and give them your time for free. If they're not willing to take your time for free, you're in the wrong business, right? But if they're saying, okay, I'll give you my time for free to show me how to make more money, you've now got the right people. You then show them how you're going to do that. Now, if you don't know how, well, obviously you've got to go back to square one and say, well, then I'm orange level and I've got to go work with someone who knows how, so that I can actually then take their product, which already is proven, without trying to figure it out for myself, right? So you always got to keep on going down the chain of confidence until you get to a point where you feel confident, right? And that's different for every person, which is why it's not like a one size fits all. But let's say you actually say, I am confident that I can actually go out and find 6 people, they're going to pay me $5,000 each, and I can convince those 6 people. You might say, but my confidence level is such that I'd need to have at least 12 conversations with people at a level where they're committed to really figure out if they can improve their business, of which maybe 50% of them, which is 6, are then going to say yes to me to then work with me, right? So now you're saying, well, then what's my list of 12 people? Who are the people I'm actually going to go connect with? You don't need to have a YouTube channel. You don't need to have a Facebook page. You don't need to have anything other than a simple set of slides which explains what you're going to do to help someone in a specific way to put money in their pocket, right? And that's what you should be doing. And once you've got the proof of that, then you can then actually go out and show the success stories of that. And then you can set up your YouTube channel, and then you can set up your Facebook page in order to get your next 20, right? But it always starts with that first step of actually just getting that first group on board, and then actually making sure that as you're then evolving and growing, now then it's already got some customers, right? But that's the most important thing, to then say, the success of my clients will become my content, as opposed to people that just go out there talking and there's no actual proof. And of course, as a result, people are like, I don't see why I should be working with this person because I can't see the value they're necessarily going to be giving as well, right? So it's super duper important to be thinking that way. Okay, so let's come over. And so, steps. Step number 1, choose your number and set up your promotion plan. Step number 2, turn it from numbers to names and make it meaningful. And step number 3, create that as your limit and make sure that now that you've got that limit, you've got a list of the people you're going to go to with what the product or offering is going to solve their problem on in a way that puts money in their pocket. Step number 4 is that you then complete that project first to get those success stories, working with those people as hands-on. If you need to put double amount of time in to get them the result is more important than delivering the time and not getting the result, right? So getting that result, right? And the next step after that is next promotion plan, saying now I've got that successes, I'm now going to go out to a wider audience, and now I can start leveraging, right? And at that point, you could do it by saying, right, that means that now I'm either going to choose, I'm going to go down a pathway where I'm going to actually go from 6 people paying me $5,000 each to now 12 people paying me $5,000 each. I'll make double the money. Or I'm going to find another 6 people, including some of the ones that just went through this, where they're going to pay me $10,000 instead of $5,000. I'm going to charge them, $1,000 a month for 10 months or $2,000 a month for 5 months, right? And some of them will then go to share with other people, and then I'll repeat what I just did and have another 6 people come on board. Either way, you just doubled your money, right? But you've got to decide, am I going to multiply, am I going to magnify? And that's back down to your confidence and also your ikigai, right? Like, what am I most passionate about doing that actually allows me to choose the next level? But at every level, whatever is the actual measurable, meaningful part you're doing, the names and numbers, you're always doing it in a way that's increasing your numbers and increasing your trust in the market as well, right? So you've got to choose at every point what makes most sense to grow based on the feedback of the customers you've got. Do they want to pay more money? You get the idea, right? So again, this is the important thing, is you're climbing a mountain. If you say, well, which way do I go? There's only one answer, which is up, right? Like, do you go up going left? Do you go up going right? Well, it depends on the fork of the road, which actually looks like the best way to go, and choose at that point. And you can't say it's a one size fits all, because the weather changes, the person changes, everything changes. But what you can do is just keep on saying, as long as I'm going up, and as long as I'm choosing at every moment the best way to go up, then I'm always going to be having the next promotion that leads me to the next level. Next coming to Gabby. All right, hello Roger, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Gabby. I had a few group shows last year, sold many prints and cards. However, I'm still finding difficulty to sell original pieces because I haven't been able to display my work in front of an upmarket audience. The feedback I get is that people love the work but can't afford the original pieces. My question, how do I increase the volume of print sales even further and get the originals in front of high-end clients for originals? Many thanks. So Gabby's now onto, it's kind of interesting, we're going from like level 2 to level 3 here. This is level 3 on yellow. It's still yellow level, right? It's still like, how do I make money? But yellow level 3 is like, okay, I've mastered my market. I know who my market is. So now the question is, how do I grow? So this kind of one step on from what we just heard from Danette, right? Which is, okay, like it's working. I'm selling the prints, which is awesome. So we had a conversation like a year ago, right, with Gabby, because she was only trying to sell to the high-end clients. And so once in a while she'd make a sale, but she didn't have any of the prints or anything she's doing now. So the good news is you've got the multiply sign happening, which is great. But then it's like, but I want to magnify. I want to go for like guys paying more money, right? So how do we get to those people paying more money and sell more of the originals while at the same time I'm still actually selling the prints? So the question is, how do we actually multiply and magnify at the same time? The answer is, number one, get someone to work with you, right? Because you can't try and do multiply and magnify at the same time. So get someone who's a marketer or who happens to already, be willing to go down to the market stores and take your prints and so on as well, where you can maybe show up for a little bit, or you can do some videos and so on, and get them to actually go out there and grow the multiply side, because you can't try and do two promotions at the same time. So you've got someone doing the multiply side saying, well, here's what I'm doing at the moment. Can you double it, right? It's like, well, what's working? Let's actually see what we can do to double it. And the reason I say do the multiply side first is because you've got to figure out a new revenue stream yourself, right? And for anyone thinking, well, I've got a new revenue stream I want to try, can I not just put someone on it and just get it going? The answer is no. Until you get to solid green level, you've got to be the one that's starting up a new revenue stream, because the things you need to learn, right, are things that you can't just delegate the learning, right? If there's someone who's so good at learning a different thing with your business, they'd be running their own business, right? So really important. So I've got something that's working already, the multiply. I'm going to get someone to actually help grow that and then the variables are limited, right? If they go, it's not working, well, it's not because it doesn't work, because I've done it and it does work, right? Whereas someone goes out to try and sell high prints, they can come out and say it's not working, and you don't know why it's not working. So at least they've got less variables to deal with. It's about their execution, which is why it's not working. Whereas on the magnify side, you're then saying, okay, what's the best way for me to now take some of these different prints and actually have them guide up the next level? Here's the way to do it. Go and find one or two artists that already may have some similarity to what you're doing. Maybe they're also focused at women empowerment, right? Maybe they're also focused at like graffiti art. But where they're doing a good job in getting to the high level clients. They may even already have some connections in with galleries and so on. They've got some shows that are coming along, and you add value to them. You go to them because they're going to add value to you, because if they simply say, oh, just come into my show with me, right? Like I'll give you like a quarter of the space and you can just basically be there they've done all the heavy lifting. Why would they help you? Because you're going to help them first. You're going to say to them, listen, I've already got my following. I've got my community. I've got my prints that I'm doing. I've got the relationships with the guys that are doing all of the prints and I know you can make this much more money. Let me work with you on your on your artwork, which you're selling basically just as originals. Let's turn some of those into prints to put more money in your pocket. And do that first, help them to do that, where they're going, wow, Gabby's awesome, right? She's helping make this money. It's like, why are you helping make this money? It's like, because I really love what you do. We're actually going to the same customers. And at the same time, I want to learn from you, because you're already going out selling more originals, and I want to be doing more of that. And I know, I've been so busy doing things with the people who've got less money, but are willing to kind of share their time and refer. I've got basically now, a focus at wanting to actually have a number of clients that are actually willing to take on more at a high level. And she'll already have clients who goes, well, I've already bought from, or he'll already have clients saying, I've already bought from this artist. I want to try another artist, right? And then there'll be through referral. It's much, much easier at this point for you to get from yellow to green, not by trying to build a whole team around you and all the revenue around you, but by building partnerships which are delivering new revenue in, right? And same for every one of you. If you're at a point where it's like, geez, I want to get to a new market, go to the people who've already got the market and give them value to get to your market, and then put money in their pocket, and then they'll return the favor, right? Why would they not? So that's the way to do it. Okay, so let's come over to Jasper next. Hi, Roger. Ouroboros, a follow-up question on community from last month. We're currently building our community and as a start more as a funnel than an independent cash flow generator. Heard about another group that is gaining momentum, turned it into a paid service. What are your thoughts on converting a free community to a paying at some point down the road? Do you have other examples on how to monetize communities, if that's a good idea these days at all? So most important thing, Jasper, same for everyone as well, is again, separate out the paid community from the free community. So for example, when we ran our Entrepreneur Mentor certification, we started by creating the Entrepreneur Movement as a Facebook page, as a group. So people, like we said, everyone come into the Facebook group, but it's going to be free stuff. We're going to be free videos. So we had 15,000 people join that group. And then as they were all joining that group, the whole thing was them connecting with each other, them seeing value in that. And then as we were actually getting more in that group, we said, hey, we're inviting you to come and join our mentor certification, which is $1,500. And we have another group, right, where people who are actually going to come on that. And then if that's not right for you, great, just stay in this group, right? But if it is, come join us over here, right? And then a percentage of those people came over, and I think out of like 15,000, we had 600 that then paid us $1,500 each to then actually move over and then actually get the certification, right? And then this became a second group. So yes, absolutely, you can do that. We have all the people who follow us online, and then we'll get them to come to an event, and there'll be a percentage who will come for the event, and a percentage of those will join this mastermind, right? But it's not everybody. But that's okay. You just want to make sure that you've actually, so don't try and go to the whole group and say, I want you to all pay money now, right? Or they'll go, that wasn't the agreement when I joined this group, so you've now broken my trust, so I'm not going to agree to come and join stuff of yours and free in the future, because you're going to then change the rules halfway through. So you don't want to do that, right? You want to keep to the promise that you gave in terms of giving free stuff and then actually giving a value, but then invite them into other things. And if you've earned their trust, right? They say, this was worth my time, maybe it's also now worth my money, right? They'll come and at least have a look at it, right? So that's the way to do it. And good luck with that. Jacqueline Pigden has got here. Hi, Roger. I'm going to set up a rhythm to create online content for my business coaching services to attract 10 new clients by 30th of June. That's awesome. That's the way to do it. What do you recommend best works at the moment, e.g. weekly YouTube videos, social media platforms, etc., as well as helping my clients and or followers create and post content for me, such as running a competition and aid their engagement. Thank you. All right. So Jacqueline, here's my view, because again, it's one of those things where it's all down to the person. So if you look at what I do, for example, I've just started my new videos, right? Which are creating traction, right? Then people share with other people. Each video that I've got is featuring someone in some way. So like the first video I did 2 weeks ago, it was Catherine Russell Ord. And Catherine shared it, and shared it out to all of her community. The one this week, which just came out, was the one for Stig Severinsen, who's like the world record holder for like free diving. He shared it out to his community as well, right? The one next week will be with someone else. So the moment you have a give, people are willing to give in return, provided you're building value for what they're doing as well. So by you actually having and again, not everyone actually works that well with video. And it takes time to do the production. So don't do it if it's hard work. Do it if it's easy and natural for you. But to be able to actually do a video, I know you could actually do it. I think you could do it like in conversation with people who you're actually working with as well. So I think video actually works really well. People are always going to watch and listen more than they're going to read today. You'll notice that, right? If you've been doing Facebook posts or LinkedIn posts, you'll see less people engaging than they used to, because people are all going to the video or going to the audio. So it needs to be one of those two. If it's not the video, then it is something like a podcast, right? It's like doing the audio part and actually having that as a way that people can share that as well. Most important thing is that when you're just looking for 10 clients, don't expect to find those 10 clients from your social media, right? The social media is really just there as an added element of you being a leading learner, of constantly adding new content so you're thinking fresh. But you're not gonna start getting customers on board until you get to a ratio of about 100 to 1, right? Like where you've actually got like 1,000 people that are actively engaging with you, of which 10 of them will become your customers, right? That's like 1 in 100 people. That's going to take a while to do that. So you got to play the long game when it comes to basically building your content. But you should build content, because if someone new comes along and says, well, is there any credibility in this Jacqueline girl? And they'll go have a look on you along the lines like, well, she's not really posting anything. She's not really got any engagement with people. That's enough for people to say, it sounds like she's just getting started. Whereas if you've got that community and you're actually growing that, that can make a big difference. Now, that can be in a very specific particular place. So for example, Jacqueline works together with her mom on her sewing school. You could do an entire social media focus, which isn't even about high performance on purpose. It could be just about your mom's sewing school, right? So you're actually showing, the sewing, patterns or the results of those sewing patterns with the students. You're actually interviewing those students and saying, why did they actually make what they made the way they made it? You can be interviewing people that turn this into a business. Like that in itself then actually gets you out there and makes people go, oh, wow, that's what she does for her clients. I want to work with Jacqueline, right? And there's a lot of people that are actually doing that, where they're actually building their branding by shining a light on someone else rather than trying to just shine a light on themselves and then running low on content or running low on visuals, right? And I think that's probably, if I was you, that would be the way I would do it, which obviously would then help your mom's company and at the same time would then really help your own branding and people wanting to work with you. Okay, let's come next. We have got here Rodney. Rodney says here, it looks like we've got a bit of a mix-up here. So we've got Rodney under Masters Young, but we've also got Glenn under MD Crowdfunding. So we'll come to him as well. So Rodney's one. Yeah, let me just change this on here. I'll just put Glenn here as well. Let me just have a look, make sure I've got all this organized. So, all right, I'm just copying and pasting. Okay, cool. All right, so let's start with Rodney. So Rodney has got here, signed up a marketing company to give our firm some more exposure. Let's just say that the plan was for a strategy based around interviews between the staff and mine to get our story to develop the podcast marketing info. They did the first part of the project, 3 to 4 weeks. However, it just wasn't getting to where we wanted to go. My mentor, someone who is well known to Roger, contacted them on our behalf. They then agreed with the less than desirable outcome and suggested we go with their higher level plan, 13,000, was now an extra 60,000, and we had to not see results. We rejected this offer. From that time on, they had not made meaningful contact with the project. When I pushed, they said they had all the info required and would send the result to us. What they have done is rubbish, so not what was promised and of little value to us. The principal of the firm refuses to talk to us at all. Only his underlings will send an email saying that there is nothing further to discuss. Roger, where to from here? I feel like I have been done for the 13,000. What are your thoughts? Yeah, this is really unfortunate when this happens, and it happens a lot, right? I mean, like there's a whole bunch of people out there, especially when it comes to something like marketing, where they'll go, I'm going to give you a great result, and then they go out there and they charge all this money, and they don't give you a result, right? So there is a little bit of live and learn in this, because the reality is, and I haven't seen the contract that they've signed for you, unless there's actual deliverables in that contract, which you can show that there's been a breach of contract. From a legal point of view, you don't have a standing, right? Someone can just be just a bad business person, and it could be that there was actually a very loose contract to begin with, which usually is the case, right? So first step number one, do you have a contract where they breached the contract? If the answer is yes, then go back to them and say, look, unless we actually sort this out, we're going to take you to court, and then take them to court, right? That's one way to do it. And the learning in that is next time that you're actually putting in 10,000 more, really make sure you've got a contract where you can see what the deliverables are, and you're comfortable with those deliverables, right? And there's often people who will do contracts, which include marketing, where they'll give advice, but they're not actually like saying they're actually going to deliver you the results because you're the one that has to deliver, right? Which is fair enough, but then of course you then know you're the one that has to deliver off the back of it as well, right? So it's just knowing the expectations on either side, and most partnerships break up because of a mismatch of expectation. One side thinks they did a good job, the other side says you didn't do a good job, and then you're never gonna fit, right? And it doesn't mean either side is wrong. It just means that at the beginning, the expectations weren't actually met to say, this is what success looks like, this is what failure looks like. So my guess is there's an element of that which has happened, right? Because if it's clear cut, then it's fine. You can go to them and say, you breached it, which means you now owe us this much money back, or here's the penalty that you agreed to, or we paid you the money, you now need to refund it. If you don't, we're going to take you to court, and you're willing to go and take that action if you're going to go down that route, right? Obviously, for 13,000 legal fees and all the rest, you might say it's not worth it, but at least that's one very clear-cut way. Second way is where it's gray, right? And when it's gray, you can feel really bad about that. It's like, geez, I just spent $13,000 on something. I didn't get the result that I wanted. Let me show you exactly what we do each time this happens. And this has happened often. I mean, we've spent a lot more than 13,000. We did a launch a couple of years ago. We spent over $200,000 from that launch. And it wasn't all paid to the guys that we actually hired, but they're the ones saying, here's what you need to do, here's the way to do it. And a lot of that was in marketing money that went to Google, Facebook, and so on. And we didn't get the result we wanted off the back of it. And even all the way through, we're like, we're not getting the result, guys. And they're like, no, it's going to work, it's going to work. And then it didn't work. And we're like, holy cow, we basically believed you that it was going to work. And I sat down with the team afterwards, and we went through it. And again, we said, look, this is kind of our fault, because did we get that much value in learning, right, out of this? Like, we 100% got that much value in learning, because we really got that basically, like, by just trusting them without having better metrics or questioning even tighter, next time we need to do that. So it saved us a lot more money in the future as we grew. Second thing is that actually said, did we actually put money in our pocket as we're doing? And we actually made sure it did put money in pocket. So we weren't out of pocket by 200,000 because we did make some sales and so on, but it certainly wasn't the result that we actually wanted as well. So we said that how we make sure next time we actually put that in place in the right way, right? And the moment you do it that way around, and the reason I say this is because the third option, which is either rather than saying here's the payment for my learning, is where you say I'm just going to keep on fighting them and putting energy into this in a way that I can't win, right? Because they're not going to pay me anyway. Like, you know, or I'm just going to go out and say bad stuff about them because I just feel like I'm done in, right? So now you're actually putting all this like negative energy into it as well. The cost of that negativity totally massively outweighs the benefit you get out of that negativity, right? Like none of the negativity actually is going to change them. They're going to still do whatever they're doing, right? So it's going to be futile, right, to actually put negativity. But the amount of like stress it creates in your life or your team's life, the amount of lack of focus that happens when you could have been focusing on other things that actually make money, right? All of that kind of stuff is better to say, right, that was learning. Thank you for the learning. I got $13,000 worth of learning from that. Here's what I'm now going to do to turn that $13,000 to $130,000. Here's what I'm going to do with the next deal, like we put in place. You know, the whole thing about like, if you're surfing and you see a shark in the water, you get out of the water, the best thing to do, get back in the water straight away, right? It's like, okay, so if it didn't work and you put 30,000 in it, how do we spend the next 10,000 in a way that gets us 100,000, right? Like, how do we do that? And you take the learning and you do it now, because guaranteed, like if you do go out there and spend another $13,000 or $20,000 with someone who delivers 200,000, you're not worried about the 13,000 you spent earlier. You've made that money back and more as a result of what you learned. But if you don't act on that learning, right, then that 30,000 really is wasted, right? And more importantly, it'll stop you from doing other things with other people because you're like, oh, I got ripped off by that person, I'll get ripped off again. And so you actually then shrink down to the level of your worst deal as opposed to use it as a way to expand into bigger deals and bigger ways of thinking. And that's always what I will do. As that Gandhi quote says, one drop of oil does not make the ocean dirty, or something like that, right? It's like just because you got one bad egg, it doesn't mean that like the rest of it isn't going to work for you. But it's about how you now manage it going forward, and more importantly, how you actually use it to step into greater momentum, as opposed to kind of reduce the momentum of what you're doing as well. That would be my advice. Final thing is, if you feel if there's things still left unsaid, and that's happened to me in relationships, partnerships, things where I'm like, I'm not complete on this, right? Like, I know this person's not going to change. I know I'm going to just hit my head against a brick wall, but I'm not complete. Put it down in a letter. Like, just say, here's where we're at right now. Make it complete. Obviously, I'm not going to work with you again. Very disappointed for this and this and this reason. You're not doing the letter for them, by the way. They may not even read it, right? You're doing it for yourself to just complete on it and say, this is the last time you'll be hearing from me. Like, now, from now on, I'm going to be operating differently, and I really recommend you do this with your clients. Again, without any expectation they're going to do anything different. It just allows you to clear it and then move on, which is like super important at this point, right? But again, those are the options. Okay. Now coming over to Glenn, we are considering approaching investors to see if we could get investment to speed our growth. We are not yet ready to launch and are busy developing our. So this is the MD crowdfunded platform we said earlier. Our offer, still building our business plan for FCA compliance, marketing launch plan. I'm not sure we are ready to determine a value to our fledgling business. We have some projections, but not yet traded a single dime. We have some founders, approximately 5, keen to come on the platform, and 600 potential investors follows now. What is the best formula and method to accurately create a valuation that is realistic, positive, and will not be found over-egged by an investor? We estimate annual cost at 80 to 100,000, turnover based on 10 deals, 250,000, 15 deals, 400, etc. At the end of year 3, we estimate plan that 25% of deals will start to exit with 7.5% carry, boosting earnings. Okay, so here's the thing, Glenn. You're at seed round, which basically means you haven't proven the model yet. So anything you say is an opinion, right? It's like, we're worth $1 million, we're worth 100,000, we're worth 10 million. It's like, whatever you say, someone else will have another opinion because there's no actual basis of what you're going to multiply that actually works. It's all just theory. So the most important thing to do right now to get you to a point where you actually got a valuation is to do the first deal. The fact that you've already got 600 people interested, the fact that you've already got people saying, I want to give this a go, is go to those first people and say, right, let's do this first deal. Even before we've actually got everything set up, you can already get involved in a deal, right? You can go to Seedrs, you can go to Crowdcube, you can look for a deal which is one that actually fits all your criteria without even your own platform. You can take your founders and a few of the people, investors, and saying, here's what we're doing. We believe that we can get deals, as you say here, by year 3, where we're going to get 25% of deals with an exit. We're going to have 7.5% carry. It's like, okay, we've found one, right? And we're going to go do it. And on this first one that we're going to go do, if you come in and do this with us, then you're going to get this return from this deal, and we'll give you 1% of the business, for example, right? So they're not caring about what the value of the business is right now because they like the idea of what you're doing. The fact they can actually have a share of that business by just coming in with your first deal sweetens the first deal and makes it better than just going to the deal on their own, right? And then you've then got a proven model where you've actually got that first deal done, right? That's what you need to be doing more than anything else. And it's exactly the same if you weren't looking for money, like if it wasn't Glenn, if it was someone else on here, where you're actually saying, you know, I want to, like we did this with our cafe, right? It's like, we want to have 50 cafes around the world. Well, that means nothing unless we can prove one cafe. So we went to the first group of people to say, hey, help us fund the first cafe. We'll get the cafe going. Here's the goal of what we want to do. And we'll give you the option of turning the loan that you're going to give us into equity in the business. And that basically created the momentum to actually get it going. And within 6 months, we've proven the cafe, right? So it doesn't take that long to prove something, provided you're committed to prove it. But you've got to have the value before you leverage. You've got to have the thing you're going to multiply before you start trying to multiply. So that's the way you do it. Just get that first deal done. All right, let's come over to Celia. And by the way, that means you're not having to convince people of your credibility. You're just going to a good deal that's got good credibility, and you're convincing them of that deal, which is a whole lot easier, especially if they've already got proof of concept and other people investing in that deal already as well. Okay, so Celia and by the way, if you get a big enough group of people together, you can go to that company who's doing a deal to the retail market and say, we want a slightly better deal. We want a way to support you, or a way, you know, to bring our guys in to see your business, whatever it is, which is something unique and different, which you get through being a group together, which you don't get elsewhere, right? So do know you've got that leverage already. Your value is the fact you've got these people interested. That's the value to people that you're going to leverage, who are the people who actually got the deals in the first place. Okay, so Celia here says, in Q1, I want to get more traction for my flow consultancy and contribute more to the Genius U community. I'm starting the 4 Keys to Mentoring Success program next week, so that will help. That's awesome. Yeah, anyone interested in the 4 Keys and what Kathleen is doing, get in contact with her, because we are getting everyone onto Genius U now. It's an exciting year. I welcome advice on how to stay focused and achieve some quick wins. I get distracted easily. Celia, it's exactly what you've been hearing me say to Glenn. It's exactly what you've been hearing me say to others as well. It's all about that. Pretty much everyone, you know, as we're going through this, everyone here, you know, what I was saying to Gabby, what I was saying to Jasper, or yellow level. What I was saying to Jacqueline started yellow level, which is like how to build her own identity. But then I basically showed her a way to do it at green level, which is actually with her mom's company, which is where you're now actually, you know, shining light on someone else. Not how do I make money, it's how do I help other people make money, right? That's a green level. Rodney also, in terms of where he's at, is a green level question, because it's what happens when you start actually managing your team levels. So we've got all yellow and then 2 green. In Glenn's case, it's a blue level question, which is how do we do promotion, which is not a profit-based promotion. It's a promotion which is a capital-based promotion, right? So Celia here says, like, you know, how do I get focused? And that's very much a yellow level focus, is to do the promotion plan, put that in place. One thing I would say for everyone putting promotion plans in place to make sure it's not orange level is a lot of people say, great, I've got a promotion plan, and then off you go to do the whole thing, and then it goes off track after a few weeks, right? Because you're just reporting to yourself. So the way to make it yellow level is to answer these 3 questions. Question number 1, do I have a plan? So that's the first one, right? Either way, you've got to have the plan. If you've not worked on a plan today, where you know today you've got certain things you need to do because you put the plan together, go put the plan together, right? And that's level 3 on yellow level. You can find it on the micro degree with the template. The second thing, right? Who is my leader? When the answer cannot be you, right? So who's the leader of the plan? Because it's the person you're going to be accountable to. There's a huge difference you saying, right, I'm going to do this whole plan, and then you're only meeting with yourself, right? Like, you'll miss the meeting. But if you've actually got someone that you're going to meet up with the next Monday, where you're going to report on what happened, and you've agreed on what you're going to do this week, you'll get that stuff done, right? So you have to be accountable to someone other than yourself. That's the second thing, right? And third thing is, what's my rhythm, right? How often are we actually meeting? And if you're finding that once a week does not get you to where you're going to, meet once a day, right? Like, just increase the rhythm, and then be increasing the check-in of accountability, and stuff will start happening. The biggest issue that most yellow level people have, and orange level people, is they're trying to work for themselves. Don't try and work for yourself. Try and focus at the person you want to work for, right? And that can even be someone in your family. It can be someone who's on Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind. It can be your PA. It can be someone who you're actually going to say, I'm going to be accountable to this person, to say I'm going to do the things I said I was going to do. And then that way you'll see the momentum start on your plan, provided you've got a plan. So that's what, Celia, you just need to do based on exactly what I said earlier. Michelle Munn, we're on a mission to turn recruitment on its head and do things completely different. Change our fees, change the way we present CVs, change our service offering so that we stand out. first, it's going to be difficult because the South African market doesn't always do well with change, but we have so many opportunities to leverage, and the best way to do it is just to do it. Yes, correct. Implementing drastic change in a business of 50 people is not always easy. Would you make small changes or change everything at once? So Michelle, it depends what you mean by change, right? Like, let's go back to the whole thing about the fact that you think it's your product offering that's going to change. I would suggest the thing that is not going to change is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And so if you start with that, so like the companies that we work with, the problem that they have is they keep on losing people, needing to basically get more people on board. It's costing them a lot of money by doing that. Even by us helping them out, as the whole recruitment industry helps them out, it's not solving the problem well enough. We want to solve the problem better, right? The way we believe we can solve the problem better is to have a much better fit with people that are coming on board, to support those people once they come on board in such a way that they actually want to keep staying with that company, and for the people in the company that they can actually see that they can have a career path without having to leave the company, right? Like, if you said that's what you're going to do, and it doesn't change the problem you're solving at all, it just gives a better solution, then change it all at the same time, right? And when you go to the customer, you're not going to the customer to say, hey, we just changed everything. You're going to the customer to say, you know the problem you've got? We've just got a whole way to solve it even better, right? And then that way, you're actually a bit like a swing, right? The swing, it's like, oh my God, the swing's moving all the time. Not the pivot, not the part where it's connected, right? So like seasick, right? It's like, oh, the waves, sea's moving all the time, not the horizon, right? So always go back to what is the thing that's immovable and start with that, and then focus at that. Jeff Bezos, he says this with Amazon. He says, everyone's asking the question, what's changing? We're asking the question, what's going to stay the same, right? We know customers are always going to want a cheaper way, a smarter way, a better way to buy, and that's never going to change. 20 years is going to be the same thing. So as long as we keep focusing at that, right, then we can change everything else, and we're always going to win, right? Okay, so Trisha here says, I am a certified talent dynamic partner. I did my training with Paul Avens, who I know Roger knows well, and Paul is an amazing trainer. The reason I joined Genius U was to find other individuals like myself to communicate with, i.e. those working with individuals or SMEs, to help them learn about themselves, where their energy lies in their profile, how to build teams in-house or outsourced to enable them to become the best person they can be, and at building a team, a good leader. I'm not finding these people here on Genius U. Trisha, I recommend you go to the mentor listing and look at the 1,500 mentors that are on there, right? Because there's a lot of people who are exactly the people you just mentioned, in terms of people who are already out there training and building substantial businesses off the back of it as well. But I'll continue. So maybe I'm not looking in the right place. Well, that's where you need to look, right? Go to the mentor section, get connected to the people that are on there, and see how you can be of service to them. I also need to gain clients, and some help on that would be good. I don't have and you heard what I said earlier, it's not about how do you get clients, it's how do you serve other people who already have the clients in such a way that they actually will then get you in front of their clients as well. I don't have a special website or Facebook page for Talent Dynamics, but I have lots of followers, friends on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm also involved in property, so those starting out or indeed into property, but perhaps not reaching their full potential would be good clients for me, as I understand both property individuals, my past and long career as a nutritionist health consultant. Is anyone else working with individuals, clients on profiling? Trisha, okay, so I'm guessing you're at a beginning stage with us. We have got over 1,000 flow consultants, performance who are doing exactly what you say. They're in the community. If you get connected up with either Michelle or Kathleen, who are looking after all of them, they're on an ongoing basis having weekly, monthly connections in with those people, and you should be as well, right? So it sounds like you're supported, or at least was being supported by Paul. Get connected into our partner community, because that's where all the action is happening, specifically on what you're saying. And even on this call, you can see different people like Danette, like Catherine, who are already doing the things that you're talking about, where they've got individual clients and they're profiling them and using them as well, right? So just get connected to them through the platform and click on mentors and go down that list and just pick 5 people that you're going to have conversations with to find out how they're running their business, the way they're doing it, and then be of service to those people. On the property side, we have a lot of people that are actually supporting the property side right now. Simon Zucchi, in his community, we have many different people who are using all these tools within property. I mentioned trade earlier as well in the US. We've got a whole group that's now growing in the US to support people on property as well. So start with those connections. Okay, so we've got Naomi here. Wellower.co.uk. Now that I've filled the places for my 2 upcoming online courses, congratulations, Naomi. I'm realizing there are some deeper confidence issues for me. By the way, like for a lot of you, you'll probably, so Trisha's question was an orange level question. Naomi's question, I haven't even got it to yet, is also a orange level question, right? It's where confidence becomes one of the biggest things. And confidence grows with connection and nothing else, just connection, right? Like you can have the best idea in the world and no one even hears about it, you're still going to be low in confidence. But the moment you've got connection with feedback coming the other way, right, where someone's actually able to tell you that was good, that wasn't good, right? That was helpful, that wasn't helpful. Until you have that, confidence can't grow, right? Because all confidence is a feedback mechanism on, am I doing the right thing? That's it, right? So am I doing the right, am I doing something valuable? Am I doing something, like, should I be doing it differently? Like, if you're not sure, your confidence will be low. But if you've got someone constantly sharing that with you, and yes, a mentor is helpful, but it's just an opinion still. What's more helpful is a customer who's going to be paying with money, paying with time to say, oh, that was valuable enough, I want to give you more, right? Or that's not valuable enough, I'm not going to give you, right? So it's like, oh, now you can actually spot that, right? Like you want to be confident in football, don't just read books on football, right? Get on a football pitch and actually be with other players, and just through the playing is actually being able to judge, okay, that was useful, that wasn't useful, by actually in the game with them, that actually builds confidence, which is why it's all about connection. And almost always those who are just getting started don't have confidence because they don't have connection. So the idea is not how do I get confidence, the idea is how do I get connection. But it's good, you're noticing this, right? So I'm realizing there's some deeper confidence issues for me around doing group coaching work online. I'm used to working with groups face-to-face. Do you ever have lapses in confidence when coaching people in groups? And if so, how do you turn this around so that you're always having fun? How do you ensure the people you attract are the right ones, i.e. committed to put in effort to follow through suggestions, therefore boosting confidence? So, when I run my crystal circles, and I've run crystal circles, I remember when I was running crystal circle maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we'd have some people on with like $100 million businesses. And while now, our community is $100 million business in terms of Genius Group, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't, right? And so I was mentoring people much more successful than I was. And so, of course, then there's a question of confidence. It's like, well, are they going to find value in what it is that I'm doing? And the way to get around that, right? And so to answer your question, do I have a lapse of confidence? No, I don't, right? But it's because I'm really clear on what it is that I'm delivering, and I know what it is they're looking for me to deliver as well. So there's an expectation, which means you don't have to be second guessing, right? Now, I can easily put myself in situations where I wouldn't be confident, right? So what would it look like if I was putting myself in a situation where I wasn't confident? I'd be going up to somebody who may or may not have asked for my support, and I'd be saying to them, hey, I've got some thoughts for your business. You might want to think of X, Y, Z, right? And they might look at me and as if well, who are you to tell me what I should be doing? Or they might look at me like, I'm not even sure that's the right thing. Or they might look at me and they might go like, this guy's a bit weird. And at the end of it, they go, well, thank you for that feedback. And that's what that happens, right? I would not be confident. I'd leave that going, holy cow, what did I just say? What did they think? Was it valuable? Was it not valuable? Because there's no feedback, there's no connection, there's none of that. That's the way to do things to lose confidence, right? So I could if you said to me, Roger, can you go for a week and at the end of the week be a quivering wreck where you have zero confidence in your ability to do anything? I was like, I can definitely design a week that would get me there, because it's about how you design it, right? So how would I do it otherwise in a way to ensure that I'm confident, right? Well, it would be starting by actually, connecting with someone and saying, hey, I'd love to be of value, be of service to you. Is there anything at the moment that you're really looking to try and solve, or something you're looking as your biggest challenge right now, right? When I'm doing my mentoring group calls, I'd start by saying, what's the biggest questions you've got, right? You can be 100% confident you're going to get the right questions if you're asking them to be the ones that come up with the questions, right? But if you're second guessing them, you're always going to be wrong, right? It's like, what's the chances out of an infinity questions you're going to pick the right ones? But giving someone a chance to say, well, here's the biggest challenge I've got. Here's the biggest problem I've got. You can then say, okay, well, if I could help you to solve that, would that be valuable? If they're going, yes, that would be valuable, you're now 100% confident, not just what's the thing that will be most valuable to them, but the fact that they see value in you being able to help them to actually do that, if you can actually help them, right? The third thing is to actually have confidence, not like, do I have all the answers, but do the answers exist in the universe? And you can be pretty sure that whatever confidence level you have in yourself, you can have a high level of confidence about the universe. Like, yeah, it does exist out there, right? And then the final thing is, well, do you have confidence that you would actually be able to go out and care enough about this to find those solutions? Because it might not be yours, it might be someone else's. And you go, yes, I have confidence in my own ability or even drive to want to go out there and find that, right? Then you go out there and look for that, right? And I was helping people with businesses much bigger than mine by saying, well, you've got this challenge right now. I've gone and had a look, and it turns out there's these other companies that have the same problem with you, and then they went 10 times the size, or they did this, or they did that. And they go, well, I didn't even know about that. I didn't know that. And so it's a huge value, right? I didn't have to figure it out. I just had to care enough about solving that problem that I could go out there and actually do that. And then, of course, that's going to be a massive value. So my confidence in the universe, my confidence in someone's ability to get clear on what their challenge is, my confidence in bringing the two together to actually help solve that problem is very high in my particular niche, which happens to be in entrepreneurship. If you ask me to do the same for relationships or do the same for health or so on, no. But do I know the right people that could help in those areas? Absolutely, right? So then again, it's about making those connections to go forward as well. So that's what I would say for Unite Me is like, say, hey, you know what? As long as I'm getting really clear what someone really is seeing as their challenge and then really helping them in that area, then I can be confident I can actually do create the value. If you think, but what if I can't do it in an hour's time or 2 hours of my session? That's okay. Say, if I can't figure out the challenge or way to help you now, I'll do some extra work after this, right? Like, give yourself that time to still be of value to that person and then show your value, and they'll show up again. They're like, this was really valuable, right? I'm going to show up again. But that's the key to this, is not about having confidence in yourself, it's having confidence in your customer and in the universe to be able to deliver. Catherine has Catherine got a second question yet? No, I think this is maybe the highlight, or maybe it was, I don't know. I lost track. No, it wasn't. Here's Catherine. Okay, so here is, maybe because I had her on my video, I've been thinking about Catherine a lot. Here we have Wealth Vector System on theme of the call, your health in 2019. Yes, so if you have missed the GEM call, go watch that. It's super awesome with Chef Cynthia and also with Joe. Catherine says, on the theme of the call, your health, I have a fitness cardio goal to achieve for the Journey of Lights, which our Crystal Circle members going on in October. We're going to India, Nepal, and Tibet on that trip. What is the best fitness program to put in place and perhaps reverse engineer so I'm in the best condition to trek and adapt to various altitudes? And as my diet is mostly vegetarian, eat meat if I feel like it. With a fitness cardio goal, should my protein be considered more seriously? Okay, this is perfect. Straight after I said, well, don't ask me for health advice, right? So here's the interesting thing, right? I mean, first of all, don't stress too much about it, Catherine. Like, there will be people less fit than you on the trip, and we'll look after them, right? So while on use it as a goal for that, which is great, but don't stress out about it. You'll be fine. In terms of best fitness program or the way to do it, I mean, the health dynamics community, I really believe, is one of the very, very best communities, because it allows you to just get in tune with your body and to be doing the right thing without overdoing it, right? I think in most people's judgment, overdo it, right? Because this year I'm doing Ironman, last year I was doing triathlons, marathons. That's just my part of my brain where I know that if I wasn't taking out my excessive drive to things like my fitness, I'd be putting it in the business, and then it would make the businesses shaky because I'm trying to push the business too much, right? So that's just me doing the right thing with this extra energy I've got for and having an outlet for it. Otherwise, why would I be so crazy to do all of that kind of stuff? Because it's taking up a lot of time as well, right? In terms of the fitness and so on. And in your case, you don't need to do that much as well. So that's what I would say. Now, having said that, you could take a couple of trips to higher places. Like altitude is going to be the biggest thing, right? Because altitude does actually impact the way that you're breathing and your sense of tuning into your body. So like you heard me in my video with Stig, right? Stig's got this breathology program, which is really awesome at tuning everything in, your metabolism, everything, which I think is a really, really cool complement to health dynamics. And so there's going to be something for sure you'll see happen on that on Genius U. But that's what I would do, is like health dynamics, breathology, link the two together, and then you're going to be fine. And don't worry about stuff like protein, right? It's not, I mean, in my view, it's not about that, because you're not trying to build strength, right? You're just looking to acclimatize and to build your fitness, right? Okay, so let's come over to Ingrid here. I'd like to introduce panel discussions for women by women, per copy what I do in New Plymouth, to Genius U women to do the same in their town. Is it easier to set up and get participants than for social entrepreneur events? I'm not good in posting things. Can my VA post, for example, ebook recordings, etc., on Genius U platforms? And the question is how. So Ingrid, yeah, two practical questions. The first one is, you absolutely can do that. I mean, you can already go to the places where there are entrepreneur socials. So you already got a city leader and say, hey, as well as doing the entrepreneur social, how about we do an extra thing which I will help with, or I'd like to find a leader to help with. That's a woman leader that can actually do a session specifically on the things around women by women, right? And each one of them will, like, their whole goal is to build community. So like, hey, here's a person that you can connect with. Here's someone, I'll get the word out. And then obviously you still got to go for the effort, not rely on them to do it all, to find out who those key people will be. But if there's value in what you're doing, the way you're doing it, which I know there is, you'll find those people that way. So build flow or flow. That number one. Number two, in terms of posting, you can do that. Like, a lot of you are like, okay, how much do I need to post my own stuff? You'll notice I will have my own like thing that I post, which is my video and maybe like 1 or 2 posts a week on Facebook, but that's it. The rest of it, we've got a team that does a lot of it and multiplies and magnifies the things that I share, and then also shares their own as well. So you can do all of that. The way they do it, just get them set up on their own account, get them posting within your circles. Kathleen can tell you how to do that. Go through the 4 Keys program so your team can be doing a lot of that stuff as well. But the answer is 100% yes, that's how you can do it. Saeed says, when setting financial business goals, how do you ensure that you reach the financial target? If you have set a goal for a quarter, let's say 2,500, and you can see in the first month that you haven't achieved any sales, what is the best course of action to ensure you hit the target over the remaining 2 months? Okay, good question, and it leads on from the yellow level questions earlier. By the way, all of these questions right now, Catherine, Ord, Ingrid, these are also yellow level questions, right? They're the same, and they're always on those free, which is most of you are getting a really good job of actually identifying identity. Who am I? Many of you are focusing at the mastering market, which who is my customer? What do I love? What do my customer love? And then creating the electricity to the two that creates magnetism, which is attraction. So Saeed's now at the point, it's like, I've got the attraction going, I've got the actual promotion plan, but what if it's not hitting the target? So the most important thing here is to realize that the success of the promotion plan doesn't come from writing it, it comes from doing it. And it's by actually breaking it up, not waiting a month, but saying, if I'm going to do this over 13 weeks, which is 3 months, I'm going to do it over 13 weeks and I want to make $2,500, then you're actually making your assessment to say, well, then how many prospects would I need? Let's imagine, because I don't have all of these numbers here, but let's imagine he's going to make $2,500 by getting 5 people, right? He's paying $500 each. Or make it easier, 10 people paying $250 each. And he might say, okay, the way I'm going to get 10 people to pay $250 each is I'm going to take 13 months to do this, 13 weeks to do this. First 3 weeks, I'm going to get no sales. 4th week, I'm going to get 1 sale. I'm going to keep on getting a sale every week for 10 weeks. That's what I'm going to do. And now you're going to work backwards the assumptions. My assumption is the way I'm going to get 1 person on board is I'm going to have 3 conversations, right? Like 33% are going to say yes. And so it means that, and those conversations, my guess is that because of the way I'm going to do this, it's going to take 2 weeks to actually have someone commit to come on board and be one of my customers, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start by going out and actually saying, well, that means I'm going to have 3 conversations for the customer that's going to be my first customer in the 4th week, right? And I'm going to have those conversations in week 2 and in week 3. Right? So you're actually putting this down on a list. You're actually saying, right, so here's the number of prospects that I'm going to have conversations with. Here's the number of people I'm going to reach to get to those calls, right? And so already by the time you get to the 2nd week, you're going to go, oh, look, I've actually got the 3 calls booked in, which is great, right? I'm actually having those conversations already, right? And then you get to the 4th week, and on the 4th week, it's like, it's time to make your first sale, right? And you've had those 3 conversations and you haven't got a sale yet. It's like, oh, okay, what already went wrong? Why did I not get the sale? And because we've got the step-by-step, the 7 steps, you can say, was it because I didn't hit my assumption on how many people I should get to? No, I hit that. Was it because I didn't have enough calls? No, I did that as well. All right. So was it because not enough of those people actually booked up? Yeah, that was a problem. Okay, so already what can I do different that would mean that out of those 3 people, if I didn't get one of them saying yes this week, I'm going to have that person saying yes next week. Because I've got another 3 calls of the people coming next week, and I better figure this out now, because by the next week, if I don't have this figured out, I'm going to have the same problem next week as well. So it's like, okay, so the problem is that there's not enough urgency. That's why this doesn't happen, right? They like it. Right? They might say, oh, they're not even liking it, right? It's like, okay, then that's a bigger issue we have, right? Maybe 500 is the wrong price point. Maybe it needs to be 250. Maybe we need to change that. Maybe we need to go to double as many people, right? But you're looking for that first thing to say, oh, no, that's what it is. It's because we didn't have a high enough sense of urgency to come on board. Okay, then what I'll do is say for the first 3 people that come on board, which has to happen over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to give it to them a half price, or I'm going to give them super special things on top of it. Okay, now I've got a sense of urgency. Now I'm going to go test that, right? And so you're actually going back at each point to say, oh, now I've got that 1 sale because of the 3. Maybe by the end of the 3rd week, you go, oh, the real problem is I've not got enough people I'm speaking to, because when I do speak to 3 people, 1 says yes, but I've only got 2 people to speak to this week, 1 next week. That's the real issue. Okay, then what do I do to increase the number? I'm going to go to find a partner. Like when you're doing a bite-sized week by week, you always can figure out what you need to do different in order of actually saying, is it because I don't have enough people giving me time? Is it because I don't have enough people giving me a decision? Is it because I don't have enough people giving me money, right? And it'll be one of those that you're actually not getting right, and then you'll change the assumption. And if you find, geez, it's not 1 in 3 people, it's 1 in 6 people. Okay, then I need double as many people, right? What do I need to do there? So, and we do this every single week. We're checking in to say, what were our assumptions? What actually happened? And then you're either earning or learning. You're either making the money you said you're going to make, or you've learned why you weren't making it, and now you've improved it to actually move forward. But you're never going through a month or 2 months and not making the money and think, oh my gosh, I just have to work harder. No, because then you don't know even what you're trying to work on, right? Which is super important. So we've got Marie here. Easy question. What are your biggest takeaways from the 2 events in the US so far? So we have run our San Diego and our Los Angeles event, and my biggest learning is there are some parts of America which are very highly conscious with entrepreneurs, and there are some which are not. And our focus needs to be on the areas which are. Like when we went to LA, yes, we got people there, but it was not the same vibe as San Diego, where there was just everyone who were just so like nodding to everything I was saying and so connecting to what we're saying as well. And I think that's what's really important. Like there's that great saying, the future already exists. It's just unevenly distributed. Like, our market is not just America, it's different places in America. So we're already talking about that. There's places like Trey was saying, there's places like Boulder, right? There's places like Austin that we should be going to, because it's just like San Diego, where they're just like everyone is so hungry for making a difference in the world and connecting to a global audience. So that's my biggest learning for sure. Okay, so we've got Daniel here. Hi, Roger. So this is Leaders Bridge. Okay, we're going to the last couple, just so you all know. Last couple of questions here. Hi, Roger. We're a team of 4 people, 2 stars, one of them being me, 2 creators. And I spent the last 1.5 years on building a tight ecosystem of 100 plus tech CEOs and corporate executives in Switzerland. By now, we are all self-financed through our own consulting companies. We run a high-end event series that covers basic expenses. Now we're starting to offer premium services for our tech CEOs for fundraising in Series A and B. It's going well, and we have the first proposal out from an interested client, but I feel like I'm doing all the work. I'm struggling to yellow to green path. I'm used to doing stuff on my own and move at light speed. Now that I have a team, it requires lots more coordination, exchanging back and forth and getting everyone on the same page. And since we're 4 times dynamo, I always feel I have to use a lot of my tempo to get things grounded. I'm good at getting things done by myself, and having to put a team always takes a huge amount of energy. So I always feel that I'm moving the fastest and that all responsibilities on my shoulders. I feel a lack of ownership, commitment for my team. Do you have any experience with a similar situation? Any starting points? Yes, lots of experience, right? So Daniel, very, very, very normal. You will always find going from yellow to green, as that saying goes, you want to go fast, go alone, right? You want to go far, go together, right? So you're going to find you're going to have to slow down. You just have, you don't have to slow down. The company's pace has to slow down for everyone to catch up. So the first thing is get a supporter to lead the company, right? Or lead you guys, right? Because at the moment, you're basically all there like dynamo, like everyone's doing their own thing. But you get a supporter in who will then say, right, what's the pace we need to be going with that allows everyone to do their job? What's your role within that, right? Because you might go, right, I'm going to go running off of this project, which is great. And you can do your yellow thing, or do what I do, which is actually physically go running. Right? It's like just use my energy there. But then you have to think of this is like a garden, right? Whereas before you could kind of go hyperspeed doing it at your speed. You can't pull up all the plants to make them grow faster, right? It just pulls up the roots and kills them all. So you're going to say, well, what's the pace that my whole team needs to go at? A supporter can figure that out in a way you can't, because you'll always be trying to make it go faster than it actually can go. And then, of course, you never have a sustainable business. So the real key thing here is to say, okay, like, what's the path that we can actually grow in together? What's the plans we're going to follow? What's the thing I can do so I'm still going at my speed, but not disrupting everyone or thinking they're all going too slow? The big difference of yellow and green is yellow is when you say, I've got expectations. I need everyone to meet my expectations. And the moment they're going too slow, it's like, geez, what's wrong with that person? Why can't they do it? And you want to go have a conversation with them and tell them they've got to change what they're doing or do it faster. Green level is finding out what their expectations are and then helping them exceed it, but have no expectation they're actually going to be able to exceed it, right? So you're not attached to them having to do that. So if someone's going at half the speed, if they're still achieving what they said they were going to achieve, and if that's good for the business, and you've already worked out that works on the profit and loss and everything like that as well, be okay with that. Let them do that, because that means that they're going to actually achieve it, right? You're not pulling them out of their level of capability. So really super important, change the way that you're thinking, so your expectation of your entire business is that it will go at a slower pace, or at least with the team that you've got, let them grow at that pace and add in the extra pieces. So like quite a while ago when I started doing the screen level, I'd say, okay, what's one thing they can do? Sales team, project teams, how much money can they make? How much will they achieve? Project teams today, they're all running promotions where it's like, okay, what are you going to achieve? It's not about, no, you shouldn't achieve that. You should achieve something different. It's like, that's what you're going to achieve. Does that match what our investors say we should achieve? Does that match? We just had this conversation yesterday. We just had a meeting with our heads of our resorts and for entrepreneur resorts. We already knew what they could achieve because they already put the numbers together. We said, well, that's the numbers you wanted to achieve. Here's what we actually need that resort to achieve. That difference probably is going to include people of some sort, right? So who would be the people we need to actually add in that would actually achieve this level compared to this level? It's like, oh, we need to have a head of revenue. We need to have someone on business development. It's like, okay, well then let's find those people, bring them in so we can hit this. And so that way you're not trying to push people to do things that they can't do. And of course, people will always want the founder, like they want to please the founder. So you'll probably have people saying, yes, I can do that when they can't. So you've got to really listen in. And that means not being the one that's telling them what you want them to do and asking if they can do it. It's about getting someone like a supporter that's willing to actually just say, look, if it was in no expectation, what could you actually do? and what would be a bit of a stretch and what would be too much. And understanding that allows you to then calibrate your own expectations based on that as well. All right, so let's come over to Justinas. Since there are a lot of things going on right now, hiring new clients, onboarding, incorporation process, getting clients, we still have a few questions on which we would be interested to hear your opinion. Number one, if we are facing problems with a client and we see that we cannot work with them anymore, how to act with our employees, as employees are getting paid based on results. So there's no client that then they are not getting paid. B, if e-commerce shop is doing 10 million per year, for how much can it be sold? In that way, is the best to execute the whole sale procedure, as we are thinking to diversify our business revenue with knowledge and resources later to run large e-commerce businesses. The main goal would be to sell it, but we need more info about that. Also C, when Suraj is working with clients, to whom do you market or other work? How do you track and mark and make sure they are actually doing things, preparing content about the product with dates? Do you use apps for tracking this? As we're facing a problem that clients either don't do what is needed or they are always late. Therefore, we cannot always do our best job and provide good results. Okay, so three quite different questions. Very easy on the first one is it's all about culture. Like, you have to fire your clients that aren't the right clients. And you basically have to have a team where they know if we have the wrong people on board, whether they're the client or whether they're the team members, if they disrupt everyone else, doesn't matter like how much they're paying, we're paying them or how much they're paying us, it's going to disrupt everyone, right? So we can't work with those people. So having that criteria, these are the people we work with, is the first thing you need to do. Have that before you say we're not going to work with this client anymore. And have the team say, do you think there are clients that we have that don't fit this? They'll be the ones that tell you, right? And then they'll be the ones saying, well, based on that, you clear out the way of someone that might be paying you money right now, but are the wrong client. 3 more people will show up who are the right client, right? So that's like 100%. You have to do that, or else people are going to think you're just in it for the money, and I know you're not, right? So you have to do that, and you always end up in a better situation because of that. Secondly, e-commerce, generally lots of different ways to value it, but you could pretty much say that if you've got 10 million in revenues, your worth is between 8 to 15 million, right? And a rule of thumb is like 10 times revenue if you're growing. So 10 million would be worth 100 million, right? And so we do that right now with Genius U, right? Our net revenue this year is going to be like 6 million. Will be worth about $60 million. So just being really aware, and then we have gross revenue as well, right? Which is basically the 30 million we're going to be putting through the system, but we're keeping 20% of that, which is about 6 million. So we can do a valuation based on that. So yeah, building the business with a view of what the valuation is, very important. E-commerce businesses, very much that's the case, is that especially if they're growing, that they can actually get that kind of return as a result of their growth value, right? The other thing you've got here is in terms of how do we manage our customers, and the answer is we don't, right? If you're waiting for the customer to do everything, then you're dead, because most customers, they hired you because they don't know how to do those things. So what we do instead is we don't ask the customers to put reports together. We put the reports together. Suraj has for every customer a weekly report. Like he says, I'm going to report this every week. I'm going to ask you certain questions of what we're going to do differently. Like all the expectations are set where the customer just has to show up for that, kind of like see what we're up to, what we're doing, and then say, right, here's the things we want to change. And so we manage the customer. We don't get the customer to manage us. And that's all agreed from step one. So that's what I would say for you. And we have all the metrics where we track all of this in terms of the marketing side. We've got all our Google Analytics. We're using Genius U for a lot of the tracking. And we actually then put them on a certain number of slides and say, here's what we actually do to market, right? And you can connect with Suraj. He'll show that to you because it's really, really worth following a very similar process where at the end, especially the customer, you heard earlier, right? The situation of like, what if you've got a marketing company that's not delivering for you? We don't have that challenge because we've got every week a slide deck which actually says, here's what we said we're going to deliver, here's what we delivered. And if we're not delivering it for any reason, we're having conversations with the customer about why we think that is. And sometimes we might not have done a good job, but more likely it's because the ads weren't working or because the content wasn't done in time, whatever it is. And that's recorded as to why we're not getting those results and what we need to do differently. So if we go like 5 to 10 weeks down the line and the customer's like, I didn't get the result, we're like, well, look, this is the pathway we went through. This is what we've been trying to do to get the result. If we did these things, we would get the result. Like, we can have that conversation, and then the customer goes, yeah, fair call. They can see exactly where we're at, and they can see also, how to grow forward. Difference of yellow and green level is yellow is when you have to manage everyone. Green is when you're able, as a result of bringing the right people on board, to have everyone manage you, right? Which is why basically we want to be working with green level companies where we can show them, we'll manage them to do a better job than them having to feel they have to manage us, right? And when you're hiring new people on at green level, ask them for the plan. Say, what's the plan of what you can do for us? And then basically get them to follow that plan. And if they can't give you the plan, it means they're orange level, which means you're always going to be stuck at yellow level. So it's super important. So Justina's at that point where it's yellow level, ready to go to green, which is pretty exciting. Guys, those are the answers to all the questions. This has been a little longer than normal. It's like 1:25 at the moment for the call. Do follow the videos. Do drop your highlights and also your questions in for February. I'm going to be at Masters. So if you are coming to Masters in South Africa, I look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be super exciting. And we also are going to be out in Thailand with our new resort, Beach Republic. So super excited about sharing more about that in the videos coming up as well. So have a fabulous month ahead, everyone. I'm now going to go and join the Transformational Leadership Council for 5 days of learning here in Cancun. And I will share with you some of that as we move forward as well. And have a fabulous month. See you later.